journalistic report about the Hispanic independence movements by Manuela Matthäus and Martina. Our report is mainly based on the movie The Liberator, which tells the story about Simón Bolívar, the star of our short video. Simón Bolívar, also known as El Libertador or the Liberator, was one of the main figures of the Hispanic Revolution. Simón comes from a Venezuelan aristocratic family, but with the death of his parents during childhood, he was brought up by his black slave Hipólita, whom he referred to as his mother.
¡Se murió mi mamá! ¿Me puedo quedar contigo?
Sí, niño.
He was born in 1783 and educated by Maestro Rodriguez, who had a great impact in his libertarian character and thought. As a Venezuelan military and political leader, he played a key role in the establishment of Venezuela, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Panama, as sovereign states independent of the Spanish rule. But where did the independence movement start? Let's go back in time to the end of the 18th century. The precursor figure of the revolution was Francisco de Miranda, a military man from Caracas who fought in the American Revolution War and in battles of the French Revolution. He became friends with important leaders such as Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and Napoleon Bonaparte. While living in Europe, their influence made him found a group in 1797 called Lucia Gran Reunión Americana, which Simón Bolívar became a part of in order to prepare the independence fights in America. The first attempt of a revolution in 1806 with English support failed. Since Francisco was an ally of England, the Creolean elite feared that this would only cause a shift of the controlling power from Spain to England. Therefore, they did not support the revolution. Only 1 year later, everything changed. In 1807, the Peninsular War began and the Spanish Empire weakened. Firstly, the French and Spanish armies joined forces with a treaty and invaded Portugal by transiting through Spain. Later, Napoleon decided to occupy Spain as well in 1808, which is when the situation escalated. This is when the Spanish Creoles in South America started questioning their allegiance to Spain. Unlike the Chapetones, the natural-born Spanish who lived in Venezuela, the Creoles lacked full political rights, and with the weakening of the Spanish Empire, a gap was opened to take control of their own country. Bolívar saw the disorder as an opportunity to push forward his vision of a unified Latin American empire from the south of the United States to Argentina. He began his campaign for the Venezuelan independence. Despite the number of hindrances, the revolutionaries eventually prevailed. Bolívar defeated the Spaniards with a rebel army of about 3,000 men in a series of surprise attacks. On August 7, 1819, Bolívar's troops freed New Granada, today's Colombia, from Spanish control in the Battle of Boyacá. He was hailed as the liberator of New Granada. 2 years later, Bolívar led his troops to another patriot victory at the Battle of Carabobo in 1821, which made Venezuela an independent country. During his career, Bolívar faced two main challenges. The first one was to gain acceptance as the undisputed leader of the Republican cause, which he first claimed in 1813. He achieved acceptance only in 1817. The second challenge was to implement his vision of a unified Latin America, which he believed would be the only guarantee of maintaining American independence from the Spanish. Nowadays, Bolívar is considered one of the great heroes of the Hispanic independence movements of the early 19th century. Many sovereign states emerged in South America throughout the revolutionary era. Bolívar had been president and dictator of various countries. At the high point of his career, his power extended from the Caribbean to the Argentine-Bolivian border. Bolívar's adversaries, on the other hand, were thinking in terms of individual nation-states instead of a unified continent. He realized that his very existence presented a danger to the internal and external peace of the nations that owed their independence to him. This is why, on May 8, 1830, he announced that he was stepping down from the presidency of Gran Colombia. Only 6 months later, he died of tuberculosis. However, the cause of his death is disputed among historians. Malicious tongues would even claim that he was assassinated.